I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moon Day Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Hello, neighbor. Happy Monday and happy Moon Day. Welcome back to another episode of Moon Day Musings. Welcome to October, my spooky neighbor. And welcome to the first Moon Day in October, the monthly cosmic overview. This is a very special, this is a highly revered episode of the month. Yes, by all of you, but by me as well. By me, I can't talk. Alrighty, we'll talk about Mercury. We'll get to the communication glitches that we could be starting to see soon toward the end of the month. But before we get into all of that wonderful cosmic magic, hi, if you've never been here before, welcome, neighbor. I'm so glad that you found our witchy little neighborhood here. I'm Danny. I'm that witch next door. I'll be your host, your guide, your mentor, your instructor, your spiritual bestie in all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. And here on Moon Day Musings, on the first Moon Day of the month, we go over the cosmic energy overview for the month ahead. Now, before we dive into that specifically, I want to let you know or remind you that I have a free downloadable and printable, if you'd like, journal guide template of sorts for this very episode that you're listening to right now so that you can get the most out of all of the astrological information that we're going to go through today. And it will help guide you in some suggestions so that you can kind of put some pins throughout the month, through some of the dates that we go through together on this episode, so that you don't feel so kind of like washed over by the massive waves of astrological transits. If you listen to different podcasts or YouTube channels about astrological transits or current and upcoming horoscopes and things of the like, it can kind of feel like it's just like always happening. It's just always happening. And you kind of listen into, oh, things might kind of be like this right now. But there's not really much to like really do with the information. And often this means that the information we listen to can kind of go in one ear and out the other. And we don't realize that we're not even really embodying or practicing in real life application our astrology. And this is the magic of astrology. You know, the discussion around astrology, the conversations that we have about current, past, or upcoming transits is a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift and one of my favorite parts of astrology. But the real magic for your real life does come from embodying and integrating all this astrological information that either you're discussing or you're listening to discussions of. And that is exactly what our journal guide is for. This will give you some good ideas for how to kind of implement some of this information into your life so that you can listen to all of this episode in one sitting, but you'll have planted some seeds or laid a few breadcrumbs, if you will, ahead of time, so that as the astrology comes up, you're kind of like, oh, that's right. That's right. And it'll trigger a little bit more of what you listen to, yes, here on That Witch podcast, but anywhere that you consume your astrological content. So you can get your printable in the show notes below, of course. And let's dive right in. Let's just get into October here. Now, today is a special day. Today, October 6th, is our full moon in Aries. And Mercury also moves into Scorpio today, just in time for this fiery Mars-ruled full moon. If that's not a Freudian slip for this full moon, I'm not really sure what is, neighbor. Maybe we should all pull out our Fool cards out of our tarot decks for this full moon. Help ourselves kind of remember the balance, the happy medium between that open-minded, unjaded curiosity and excitement for the world ahead, but keeping our feet on the ground, still keeping our smarts and our experiences and our wisdom about us at the same time, which, depending on the deck that you use for the Fool, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, that little white dog at the feet of the Fool, kind of trying to help catch its attention. Hey, don't walk off the cliff. There's a cliff in front of you. I'm glad we're holding our head and our chin nice and high. I'm glad we're like leading with such heart forward energy, and you're about to step off a cliff. So whether you use the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck or another deck, I really suggest pulling out the Fool card, because honestly, that I didn't even mean to say it, but that really is such a great reminder and energy for this full moon today. So first of all, the full moon portal itself, let's see here, it opened up on, oh, it's all today. So that's right. I remember checking that when I was writing the notes. Okay. So full moon portal fresh freaking opened up like a handful of hours before this episode even released, for everybody. So full moon portal opens when the moon moves into Aries. Because the full moon will be in Aries. The moon moves into Aries Monday the 6th today at 12:47 a.m. Eastern time. So bear in mind your location and your time zone. This can either take place, technically on Sunday the 5th. This also could take place later in the day on Monday the 6th. But then, so we've got full moon portal opens up 12:47 a.m. right after midnight on Monday the 6th today. Full moon exact is exactly, I had to check it like 12 times, is exactly 11 hours later. Yes, it's 11 hours later at 11:47 p.m. Eastern time. At 14 degrees Aries, we will have full moon peak or full moon exact. So we're spending today in both the full moon portal opening and the big rev up to full moon peak energy. We'll sit here and then we'll start to slowly dissipate and dwindle out of this full moon energy. And our full moon portal will close on Wednesday the 8th this week when the moon moves into Taurus. Now, like I said, Mercury moves into Scorpio today as well. Again, just cosmically in time for this full moon. And fun fact, the moon in Aries, let me rephrase that, especially for any beginners, this will help. Aries, the sign, the zodiac sign, is ruled by the planet Mars. So this full moon, because it's taking place in the zodiac sign Aries, this full moon is ruled by Mars. You might have caught me saying this Mars ruled full moon. It was when I said it was a full moon. Mercury moving into Scorpio, the zodiac sign, is also ruled by Mars. So Aries and Scorpio are zodiacal siblings, as I like to call them. They share the same ruling planet. Scorpio is also ruled by Pluto. So Scorpio has two different planetary rulers, and Mars is one of them. So Mars rules over this full moon. Mars rules over the sign that Mercury is about to move into. So Mars is a part of the conversation under this full moon. The reason I probably keep saying fool is because maybe we need to be a little bit aware of not acting like a fool under this transit. When a planet goes into Scorpio, often very sound advice you'll get from many astrologers is be really intentional with your speech and your silence. We see this symbolized by the stinger in the scorpion that represents or symbolizes Scorpio. And we think of the analogy or the metaphor of waiting to strike or being intentional of when we strike. And this advice is really helpful under a full moon in Aries when Mercury is also moving into Scorpio the same day. It will be very easy to act like a fool, to jump 20 steps ahead, to act and react very, very extremely. It's really, really easy to slip into that right now. And at the same time, in the same space, this is kind of a good moon to rage it out a bit. I would personally advise you to be intentional about your rage exertion during this full moon energy. It could either be a really empowering practice for yourself to lean intentionally into some rage during this transit. Conversely, it could be wildly draining on your energy to waste yourself and your efforts in blind, unadulterated rage. And I think this is exactly where that tarot fool reference is clearly coming through from our guides under this full moon. Because again, it's that balance between, this is a good quality about you, and there's such thing as too much of a good thing. In the Fool, that is that recklessness, that can be this, again, unjaded curiosity and excitement for the world. And it can be reckless, thoughtless, downright unsafe. And that's probably one of the biggest reminders I want you to take away from this. It's easy to laugh about it, but the truth is this is a very, very fiery full moon. And I want you to be aware of that, not just for your own internal systems, but bearing that in mind for people around you. I would be on the lookout for road rage today, and I would keep it, and maybe over the next couple of days. And, I would bear in mind what's not worth it, because you don't know someone else is crazy, and it's not fucking worth playing with that type of fire. Does that make sense? There is fucking fire to play with during this transit, and play with it we will, and we shall, and we should. Please be intentional about what type of fire you play with, metaphorically and literally. So rage it out, be safe and responsible, and don't completely drain or waste yourself. Okay. Now, as we move into the month, we have, on Monday the 13th, a week from today, we have a kind of an interesting day. Pluto will station direct and end its retrograde cycle for now in Aquarius until its next one. And then Venus enters into its home or domicile sign, Libra. This was interesting because things have been rough. I mean, this full moon, with everything that I just said, bear in mind, hopefully anything's better than this last eclipse season we just got out of. Hopefully, even under all this fire, this full moon still feels a little bit like a tone down compared to our eclipse season that we all just went through together. But Pluto stationing direct on the same day that Venus moves into its domicile sign, Libra while we're here beautifully in Libra season. I don't know. As soon as I saw this, I, had instant thoughts of, there's some sun on the horizon. There is some light at the end of the tunnel. Those few rays of hope, those gifts of coming together. Dare I say, potentially mending some rifts. And I think that this could look like people literally making up and coming back together. But I also could just see this as like mending a rift in like our own acceptance of something, especially accepting losses. With Pluto stationing direct and being a part of this, it was cool because Venus moving into Libra is this very quintessential romantic energy, like sensual and soft and pretty and beautiful and loving and stunning. Really evoking all of those feelings and experiences. And then you've got this stationing direct of Pluto bringing themes of death. I mean, that's just the truth of it. That's just the nature of it, bringing some themes of death. So I could see there being some kind of coming full circle, maybe in some grief processing. But again, also just potentially finding some acceptance in things that have been lost or things that were needed to be moved on from or let go of. Do that for yourself in the greater good. I think that's a lot of what this transit represents. And I think that we'll see those effects kind of ripple out as well from the 13th. So I thought that was kind of cool. Now, let's see here. This is going to bring us to Tuesday, the 21st, which is going to be our Libra new moon, which is happening at 28 degrees Libra. So very similar to last month, this new moon is going to take place on the last day of the solar season, which is Libra season. So this final new moon is both, or this new moon is both like a final exit and reflection out of Libra season, but it's still a new moon where we're setting intentions and planting seeds and looking ahead. And I think that's really cool when the very next day is kind of the portal into the next solar season. And we are going to be stepping into Scorpio season, my friends. So this was just kind of a cool piggyback from everything we just talked about in the transit from last week, or should I say the week before this, on October 13th, our Pluto stationing direct and Venus moving into Libra. A week later, that Libra new moon, I don't know, this might be a great time for really letting go of the final remnants of something. I also think this is going to be a beautiful new moon for just embracing and embodying duality, that heart and core of Libra and the Libra scales, letting two extremes balance each other out, letting two opposites fully fucking contrast each other in ultimate harmony, letting there be space for all of it. You know what I mean? So make note or symbols, something that reminds you of that concept for the 21st in your calendar, your planner, your journal. Keep in mind that the stronger the polarization you're feeling maybe around that time might be the bigger invitation the universe is offering you to allow for the existence and space for both, which is what leads us from polarization into duality. And then the next day, on Wednesday, the 22nd, Scorpio season begins. The sun will move into Scorpio, and on that very same day, Neptune, who's currently retrograde in Aries, is going to dip back into Pisces and complete its retrograde cycle in the sign of Pisces. I fucking loved this. As soon as I saw that those two things were happening on the same day, I was like, How perfect. Because first of all, Scorpio season is so associated with the mystical, the occult, spirit communication, that just that line of communication in general between us and the veil, us and ether, us and God, us and creator, us and the universe. You know what I mean? Our human self to our soul self, those kinds of things. And, us and our passed on loved ones, our ancestors, that communication line is opening more and more. It gets stronger and stronger as the veil gets thinner and thinner as we move through October and we come upon Samhain at the end of the month. So with Neptune, who is the planet that represents our communication line to spirit, it's really how we understand and embody spirituality for everybody. So if you have somebody that's like a very non-spiritual person, I would love to look at their Neptune placement and any aspects being made to it, because you're going to see that show up in the Neptune placement. If you know yourself or somebody else who just has that super, super strong connection to their spiritual practice, communicating with God, source, spirits, the dead, ancestors, whatever it is, again, we're going to see that in the Neptune placement. So when Neptune is in Pisces, which it was in for the last, I'm probably going to misquote this, but last like 14, 15 years. Sorry if I'm misquoting that and being a bad astrologer right now. Neptune moved into Aries over the last several months. We've been getting some kind of previews of what Neptune and Aries lessons and experiences are going to be brought to us, with Neptune stationing retrograde and dipping back into Pisces one last time before, it stations direct and eventually goes back into Aries, where it will stay for the next, again, 14, 15 years or so. This is, really re-inviting us back to parts of our spiritual practice and parts of our spiritual beliefs and philosophies that maybe have felt jaded or dulled or neglected or forgotten. We set it down and haven't picked it back up. And I think that Neptune dipping back into Pisces on the same day as Scorpio season beginning, this is going to be a massive invitation from Spirit. Hey, you're always free to pick up the other end of the line. I will always, always answer. No matter how long it's been, no matter how consistent or inconsistent you are with picking up your end of the line, I will always, always be here. And I think that that's going to be felt. It makes a lot of sense seeing this transit and really, diving into it for Moon Day. It brought a lot together for me personally, why I have been feeling so freaking called to all of the content that I'll be bringing you in October, which is essentially this big overarching theme this month of safe and effective spirit communication for everybody. And this whole month on our regular That Witch podcast episodes, we are going to be focusing on communicating with spirits, ancestors, the dead, other energies, other beings, safely, ethically, intelligently, respectfully. And it's all going to be here on the podcast for free for everybody. And that's, we'll build more and more into why I felt so called to that and why I feel like it's so important. But seeing this transit on the first day of Scorpio season, this big invitation for a lot of us to, hey, pick up the spirit phone, let's have a chat. It makes so much sense why that's the subject that I want to explore so much with you this month, to set you up safely and successfully for that spirit communication, my friend. All right, now that brings us to our final major astrological transit for October, which is going to be on the 29th when Mercury moves into Sagittarius. So Mercury will end its chapter for now in Scorpio and move into Sagittarius. Now, in November, Mercury is going to station direct. In November, Mercury is going to station retrograde in Sagittarius, and it will move retrograde back into Scorpio for a time. Then it will station direct. It will move forward. It will leave Scorpio again. It'll move into Sag again, and then continue moving forward after that. So this first little transition for Mercury at the end of the month from Scorpio into Sagittarius is a couple of things. Mercury is considered to be in detriment in Sagittarius. And all that really means is that it can struggle to feel like it's in its natural abilities while it's in that sign. And that can reflect in all of us, in our processing and interactions and communication and learning and conversations, especially via technology, via travel. And because we will have this upcoming retrograde as well in this sign of Sagittarius and then back into Scorpio for Mercury, it's going to feel a little extra like we're off our game. I'm very hopeful that with this starting in Sagittarius, a sign that is so connected to humor and being laid back and just rolling with it. I'm hoping that one of the biggest lessons for this particular upcoming Mercury retrograde that we'll have next month is going to be in not taking ourselves so seriously. But what you can keep in mind or maybe make note of for the end of the month of October and that transition into November is a reminder for yourself that you might start feeling a little bit off your communication game. There might be some mishaps and some miscommunications. And very often in those weeks leading up to the official retrograde, this is kind of a time of a preview of what that retrograde is going to bring you. So that's why it can be helpful to make note in your planner or your calendar or your journal, whatever. At the end of October into November for yourself, hey, normal to be feeling a little extra off my game. Same for other people. Always remember that with collective transits. We don't just take this information in for ourselves. We remember that this is a collective transit that impacts each of us in this collective yet individual way. And it's helpful for, especially if you are a caregiver, especially in conducting yourself in your different types of relationships and acquaintances and connections in your life. Remembering this is a time that we don't necessarily feel all the way on our game. Miscommunications can be a little bit easier right now. Mistakes can be a little bit easier. Typos, glitches. Be a little extra forgiving of yourself and others. Try not to take everything so damn seriously might be a helpful phrase for this particular Mercury in Sagittarius and then retrograde cycle that we'll have coming up. So, I love October. This is easy for me. My birthday is at the end of October. I'm October 30th baby. I'm a Scorpio sun, so super biased. My favorite season is coming up. But October is my favorite month, and it might have been my favorite month even if I wasn't born during this month because I just love it so much. We will, of course, have Samhain, Halloween, All Hallows Eve at the very, very end of October as well. So Samhain or Halloween takes place on October 31st, but the roots of the ancient festival itself begin the evening of October 31st and carry through until sundown the next day of November 1st. In some cultures, all the way through November 2nd. So in Christianity, Samhain eventually became All Hallows Eve, and then on November 1st, All Saints Day. And really, this is still the same metaphor and symbol of Halloween, Samhain, just in general, that time of year, that thin veil, this time for really getting comfortable with death and the dead, letting it be kind of the forefront of everything during that time of year. And that's, in my opinion, that's why the veil is so thin. We're so aware of the veil itself. We become so confronted by the concept of death itself. And yeah, I think that this is going to be a particularly powerful Samhain and Halloween for the witchcraft community. It's going to be a powerful one. The concepts and themes and lessons around the idea of death and deaths and the dead have been particularly prominent for quite some time. And so in this magical community, if you can really let yourself, even if it's really uncomfortable and hard, because the death thing is easier for some of us than others, but even if it's a harder one for you, the more you can just radically accept death as this beautiful sacred law of our existence and universe, the more you can and likely will get out of this time of year. The more the messages, the insights, the epiphanies, the clarity comes through, the more empowering it feels, the more supportive it feels, but also the more releasing and accepting. There's a lot of powerful healing that can take place around this sacred death work. I'm so excited for our podcast episode for that week. We'll go into all of this much more. So if you are interested in that conversation, I can't wait. So if this is your first video or podcast episode you've listened to of mine, and that sounds super cool, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and make sure that you ring the little bell so you are always notified of new episodes and new videos that drop here on the podcast and on the YouTube channel. All right, my friend, this was a really lovely moon day. I want you to keep in mind that we have an absolutely beautiful, supportive, friendly, and welcoming community of like-minded, laid-back witches and magic makers just like you in my monthly membership, That Witch School. This is a time for strengthening, fostering, and nurturing your witchy support network and community, my friend. Whether it is a time that you are developing your spiritual practice or a time that you're really just honing in on it in a whole new way, I cannot stress enough the value of having a safe space of others to do that in, to experience that in, to share in that with. You can always sign up and enroll with us. The information is in the show notes below. You can always catch us at thatwitchschool.com. But also, if you love learning and getting into astrology with me, if you get so much out of these Moon Day episodes and how I'm able to deliver the astrological information in a way that feels like it actually helps and benefits and supports you in your real life, imagine what we could do in a one-on-one session with each other. I would love to offer you a birth chart reading or an astrology tutoring session as well. If you are looking to really get into your astrology studies this year. For my school students, if you're a member of That Witch School, you get a student discount, my friend, on all of my services, merchandise, products, anything that I offer. So this is also an invitation, a warm invitation to you, my lovely student, that if you haven't booked a one-on-one with me before and you've really wanted to, this might be a really magical and powerful time to do that. And if you already have before, Imagine what we could do again. And finally, I did want to let you know that I have one more spot open currently for monthly one-on-one mentoring with myself. So this is something that is probably one of my most special services that I offer. I truly, truly treasure my monthly one-on-one mentoring clients. This is a package that comes with a 60-minute recorded one-on-one session with me every single month. And that session gets to be whatever you need it to be every single month. Sometimes we could be doing an astrology reading for you. Sometimes we could be talking about and developing your spiritual and witchcraft practice for yourself. We might be working on using your craft and your personal astrology to help bolster up or support you in any one of or multiple of areas of your real life. And the beautiful part about this package is that not only do you get a monthly one-on-one session with me, it also includes full access membership in that witch school as well, and gives you access to that entire gorgeous community, along with the absolute treasure trove of resources, workshops. Just our library in that witch school is insanely huge and valuable and always growing. And the monthly one-on-one mentoring package with me is kind of the golden pillar of everything that I offer. It comes with the best of everything that I can give you. So if you are interested in that, and even if you just have questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. You can always contact me at thatwitchnextdoor.com/conjurethatwitch. You can also just click the link in the show notes below and send me a message, or go right to my offerings page and book your next session with me. Neighbor, thank you for your time today and every day. It is an absolute honor to sit in space with you. Until I see you next time for a very, very exciting final episode in our Elemental Magic series, I want you to make sure that you stay safe, keep letting yourself have fun, and of course, stay magical out there, my friend. What is that witch school? That witch school is my magical monthly membership that combines safe, welcoming, nurturing community with quality, ethical witchcraft and astrology education. This is like Patreon meets social media, but better. We have monthly calls hosted and guided by myself, as well as multiple instructors within our school. An incredibly beautiful and supportive community of like-minded witches, all built from the neighbors within our neighborhood right here. Plus, there is a just astounding library of resources and content that is always growing, and so much more. You can go back and listen to my episode on the podcast called Welcome to That Witch School 2025 for all kinds of details and information on the membership, the different plans you can subscribe for, pricing, and frequently asked questions, everything that you need to know. Or you can always send me a direct message or email if you ever have any questions. You can get my contact information in the show notes below. And when you're ready to join us, you can go to thatwitchschool.com and find the plan that works for you and join our magical community today.